You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99 WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. You've waited all year, and tonight's the night. The College Football National Championship game. Number 3 TCU versus number 1 Georgia Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are the defending national champions, 14-0 on the season. They are a 13-point favorite. The over-under sits at 63. TCU trying to pull off one of the biggest upsets in the modern era. Houston Texans announced last night that they have fired Lovie Smith after just 1 year as their head coach. Also today, announced by the Arizona Cardinals, head coach Cliff Kingsbury is gone. General manager Steve Keim is also stepping down. The NFL playoffs were announced late last night, and if you missed it, here is the schedule. Wild Card Weekend will get going Saturday, 4:30 Eastern. Seattle is at San Francisco. That game can be seen on Fox. Saturday night, Chargers at the Jaguars on NBC, 8:15 is the kickoff. They'll be rocking in Duval in Jacksonville, Florida. On Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern, the Miami Dolphins travel to the Buffalo Bills. One of 3 matchups this weekend that will be a third time go-around. Bills and Dolphins split the season series. New York travels back to Minnesota at 4:30 Eastern on Sunday. Vikings beat the Giants earlier this season in Minnesota with a field goal at the gun. And Cincinnati will host Baltimore 8:15 Eastern on NBC. The Sunday night tilt, the rubber match. We still await word if Lamar Jackson will try to play. And the Monday night football game, Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Should be a fun one. It all gets going at 8:15 Eastern. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Rum Cokes.
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the pub cup. Really? This is what you're doing? This is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. No tailgating allowed at the college football championship game means the Sizzler parking lot's going to be jam-packed with Bulldogs and Horned Frogs. Let's go.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. He's the all-American man.
Howdy, hi, and happy college football national title day to you, Georgia fans and TCU fans and just college football fans in general. As we're going to be getting into that, we've got the NFL playoffs to get into. We've got Major League Baseball news. And first time in a long time, we've got Mr. Teamus Wooten, a diehard Red Sox fan, who will be joining us every single week to talk primarily Major League Baseball, the greatest sport of all. How are you, Teamus?
I am good, cold, but good, and happy to be back.
Well, let's go ahead real quick, and we are going to dive into this and make predictions later in the show. But Georgia TCU, the line right now, when I looked at it a second ago, it had gone up to 13. Let me see if that's where it's at. You kind of expect this line to move up one or two, about a point by kickoff. It's either going to go in the direction of people think that TCU is going to cover, and it'll go down a bit. So it's now still sitting pretty steady at 13 on the Caesars sports book. I checked. I actually think I checked it about an hour or so ago. So it's been a little longer than I said originally. I kind of feel like it's going to go towards Georgia because I kind of feel like there's, 2 touchdowns in college football is not a whole lot of points. And I could see a lot of money come in on Georgia. But if you start seeing big wagers coming in on the TCU money, and I'll check where the money's gone here in a second, but you could see it go down. So if you like it at 13, remember most sports books, you can usually buy 1.5. So if you do like TCU, you can tease it up to 14.5 as of right now. Now it really depends on your book. There's some books you can buy more. Now, obviously, you don't win as much, as you buy the points. If you like Georgia, and you probably want to go ahead and grab it now, because if it gets to 14, then you're talking about having to win by 2 touchdowns plus. So that's where, and the over-under has gone down to 63. It had jumped all the way up to 64.5 this morning. Earlier, I think it opened at a 61.5, 62, depending on the book. So we keep an eye on that. Teamus, you're a Red Sox fan, but you're from Florida originally, so you're also a Miami Dolphins fan. Are you excited about the Dolphins getting into the playoffs?
I'm excited. Obviously, they're limping in, but we still made it. That was a snore fest yesterday against the Jets, but a W is a W. It put us in, and we've got some quarterback issues for real. But you never know. It's the playoffs. Anything can happen. So bring Marino back, and let's go Fins.
I think the biggest thing is going to be whether or not they get Tua back, and he's still in the concussion protocol. Obviously, if he can't play, it's going to be a disaster. Skylar Thompson's not going into Buffalo and winning that game. It's just not going to happen. So if that were the case, in theory, it's better off not to have made the playoffs. But if Tua can get into the playoff, can get on the field, that's going to be one of the more fun games of the weekend. If not, you're talking about going into a buzzsaw. Buffalo, off of all the emotions, they'll probably have another something on the field, I would think, for DeMar Hamlin. I don't know if he'll be out of the hospital yet or not, but you got to figure they're going to have some kind of presentation to get the fans fired up.
It's going to be freezing.
Hey, by the way, I saw a stat this morning. It's the first time all three Florida teams have made the playoffs in the same season since 1999.
Wow. I'm surprised it even happened then, if I'm being honest.
Well, I actually remember that season. That was the one where the Jaguars stomped the Dolphins it was either the semifinals or the first round of the playoffs. And it was Dan Marino's last game. It was like 62-24. It was something terrible. It was absolutely an abomination. And then Tampa Bay got all the way to the NFC Championship game with Sean King at quarterback because Brad Johnson had gotten hurt. They got all the way to the championship game with Sean King, and that defense almost pulled it off. They ended up losing. It was a weird score. It was like 11-10 or 11-8 or 11-9. It was a weird score. The Tampa Bay defense was enormous. And in today's rules, they actually would have advanced because there was a catch that was nullified at the end by the Bucs that would have set them up for a game-winning field goal. In today's rules, they would have given it to them. So that was also the same year that Jacksonville, they got to the AFC Championship game and got mud stomped by the Titans. And that's why to this day, so many Jags fans hate the Titans, because Tennessee had gone 14-2 that year in the regular season. Their only two losses were to Tennessee. They won the division, so Tennessee had to come down to Jacksonville. And when Tennessee blew them out in the third game, it was a close game at the half, but at the second half, it turned into a blowout. The head coach for the Titans at the time, Jeff Fisher, stood up on the podium in Jacksonville and did the famous speech of, and we'd also like to thank Jacksonville, Florida, the Tennessee Titans, home away from home. And to this day, folks complain about that.
Well, play better.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into some baseball. I'm going to go ahead and do share the screen, the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame announcement. It's going to be, they said the 24th, so it's 2 weeks from tomorrow. So a lot of the votes are in, a lot of the votes are starting to come in, and you'll start seeing the trends. And as they get the votes, we'll start getting an idea of who they think is going to get in and who they think they won't get in. And Timus, if you get a chance, if you can read the private chat I sent you. So let me go ahead and share this. And we're going to pull this up real quick. Now, we're not going to go through every single player that's eligible because, come on, what are we talking about here, right? But we are going to go through some of the ones that have a chance. And one of the ones that I think has a solid chance this year, and it's kind of funny, I've always talked about that if you don't have a 50 WAR, you can't even have an argument for the Hall of Fame, because for folks who don't understand wins over replacement, basically it's a metric of how good you are year in and year out. And when all that, in predominantly it's at the plate, there is some defense that is mixed in with other ones. But if you look at this, the guy that I think should be in, but he's getting hammered because his splits, his road splits are absolutely terrible. And I get that. Or it's not that they're even terrible. They were just a big gap in between what he did at home and what he did on the road. Is Todd Helton. But for my money, some of the other guys that have gotten in, Todd Helton deserves in. Andrew Jones should be in there. Yeah. And I know I'm saying that as a Braves fan. We know that, right? But I still believe Andrew Jones belongs there. Let me get that one banner off the comment off so everyone can see a little better on our. For people listening on the radio, we're also going on YouTube at Braves Country. So with that being said, if you look at this and you see Scott Rowland, you see Helton, and you see that Rowland got 63%, Helton got 52%. Billy Wagner is sitting there at 51%. And I remember how good Billy Wagner was when he was with Atlanta. But to be honest, I just think he falls a tad short because he never did it big time in the postseason. That wasn't necessarily his fault. He wasn't in that many postseasons, but he was never big time in the postseason. But Scott Rowland, the reason why I've always been anti-Scott Rowland getting in the Hall of Fame is because when I think of Scott Rowland, and plus when you go and look at the statistics too, he had a gap where he was about 6 or 7 really, really, really good years defensively and pretty darn good offensively. And then the rest of his career is bookended by meh. And to me, you can do that with the Basketball Hall of Fame. You can do that with the NFL Hall of Fame because of injuries and their shorter careers. But with the Baseball Hall of Fame, I need 10 years of you being the man. You don't have to be the best player in the league, but you got to be a player. You got to be someone that I'm worried about. Outside of that, Gary Sheffield, he's not going to get in because of the steroid scandal. It's just not going to happen. A-Rod's not going to get in because everybody hates him and the steroid scandal. Jeff Kent is a player that I think is extremely low. He only got 32%. This, by the way, is his 10th and final year. And I think he gets punished for being the teammate of Barry Bonds. Your boy Manny Ramirez, Boston Red Sox.
Nope.
Yeah, it's the whole steroid thing. And did he get popped twice?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he got popped twice. A-Rod got popped twice. I just can't put him in. Here is the guy that makes you mad that they haven't put him in yet. Number 9 on the list. He got 23.9% of the votes. I get that his WAR is 45.6, so it's a little below what you want offensively. But his defensive WAR is one of the best in Major League history. Omar Vizquel, to me, defensively, is the greatest shortstop to ever put on cleats. And it's not even close. Like, I thought it was close, and then I went back and watched his career and go, oh, wow, I just didn't watch a lot of Cleveland Indian baseball is what it came down to.
You're saying the best shortstop ever?
Defensively, yes. Not offensively.
So, like, Ripken and all those guys?
Defensively, yes.
Okay.
If you go back into any Omar Vizquel highlight clip of his career defensively, it's unreal what he did. Now, offensively, I can't argue with it. He was a light-hitting shortstop in an era that started bringing on heavy-hitting shortstops. The one pushback I'll have with that is they put Ozzie Smith in the Hall of Fame, and he only missed Ozzie Smith by a few years, right? In fact, their actual career intersected a little bit, right? If Ozzie Smith's light hitting back puts him in the Hall of Fame because he's a defensive wizard, right? Then you've got to do it for Vizquel. And to me, I think you're going to see it more and more every single year that people are going to understand how important that is now that they're starting to ban the shift. And you're going to have a shortstop that's going to have to go and pick it and dig it, right? You're going to have a second baseman. Like, I think of a guy who I think is undersung, and by no means would he be Hall of Fame worthy, but I think he was very integral to Boston's championships is Dustin Pedroia, right? And Dustin,
he was second base.
Yeah, exactly. But he's up the middle, the second base, the shortstop. I think you're going to see it being more important as the years go on, right? That we're finally, because I don't know about you. We haven't even talked about this off air, but are you for the shift or against the shift?
I hate it. I've always hated it. I'm glad they've done away with it. Now, do I think it was unfair in any way? No. I just personally didn't like it. I think it robbed so many hits for so many people, and it just slowed the game. There wasn't a lot of offense because of it and everything. And I don't know. And everybody says the counterpart is, well, then hitters should learn to hit the other way. Well, that's easier said than done. I'm glad it's gone. I never liked it.
The people that say that have never played the game.
Have never stood at night and faced 92, 93 on a regular basis, or an exploding slider or anything like that.
And here's the thing. If the shift was a thing back 100 years ago, 80 years ago, and I know from time to time they would shift Ted Williams and a couple of other players, but typically they didn't do it, right? You would see far dramatic numbers across the board. And I think what you would have had then is you would either A, had them ban the shift, or B, they would have just said, well, we're taking away one of the fielders if you're going to do that, right? So sometimes you have to evolve because the game evolves. It's just like in the early 80s when they brought in the 3-point line for the NBA. It opened the game up and got exciting, and there was like that for about 20 years. And now for the last 10 to 15 years, it's become a really boring sport because all they do is stand behind the 3-point line and chuck it. And I've been saying this for a while, but they need to get rid of the 3-point shot. Because if every shot was worth the same amount, you'd see more guys driving the paint, or at least move it much farther back where it's not a gimme shot. But as someone who grew up watching basketball and loved basketball, and now increasingly watches less and less basketball every year, it's because they all just stand behind the line and chuck it. Well, when it comes to baseball, you kind of lose the fit. Look, the guys like you and I are going to still be glued to the screen because we love the game, right? But there's two things that I think the shift does more than anything else that I miss in the game. And it is A, you're going to see the ball put in play. You're going to see the swinging for the fence, and it's home run or bust, and that's all it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that I think it really speaks to is when you get rid of the shift and you have to play, and I know they're still going to shift to a degree, but you're actually going to see once again web gems, right? ESPN took the web gems off their highlights probably 10 years ago because the shift came in and no one was doing any web. I mean, you're not saying there was never any web gems, but it wasn't daily.
Right. And another aspect that I think is going to increase, which has really died down in the last several years, is base stealing and base running, because, now the timing for the infielders to come in or go out to have to move around instead of just standing like they're in a softball game and having 10 players, what it looks like. They're not, but it's what it looks like. They're having 4 outfielders, basically. Nobody's stealing bases anymore. I think this is going to help that as well. And also base running. Base running is exciting. If somebody's trying to stretch, going from first to third or a single into a double, it's really exciting. Like, you go to the edge of your seat, and the shift really knocked a lot of that down because it was hitting right to him. Think about how many base hits Poppy would have had without the shift. He hit it right to the shift every single time. But if there was no shift, they wouldn't have been anybody standing there.
Yeah, and I don't like the expansion of the bases, and I know it's minimal. I don't think it's going to all of a sudden cause like 45 stolen bases a game. But I don't like the expansion of the bases because all of our base stealing records, how are you going to be able to compare them, right? The one thing that's never changed about baseball has always been the dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've had the pitching mound move up and down, and I get that. But the dimensions themselves have never changed. We've never come out and said, you know what, let's make it 88 feet down the line.
Is that what it is going to be now, 88 feet?
No. It's still 90 feet between bases, but the base themselves are a tad bit.
Yeah.
It's been expanded by about 2 inches in the full circumference.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought, that the bases just look like couch cushions now, but
yeah, it's not as dramatic as some memes you might run into on the internet, right? But I thought it was unnecessary. And this is where Rob Manfred and his team kind of overstepped their bounds. But all in all, I'll take the good with the bad, because I think what you're going to get more than anything else is something, and kids, if you're listening, write this down because you probably have never heard this term before. It's called the hit and run. It's called contact baseball.
Yeah.
And
I call it National League Baseball.
I don't remember the last time they used to call it. Remember when Whitey Herzog coached the Cardinals? They used to call it old Whitey ball, right? But he wasn't the only one that was doing it. But the hit and run was the most beautiful thing in baseball. You send a runner, and the second baseman slides over to cover, and a right-handed batter punches it through the hole. And that runner is now in a very good opportunity, depending on where the ball lands in the outfield, with an opportunity to actually score, especially with today's speed. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be electric. And I mean, I'm here for that. I feel like it was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I don't feel like you need to change so many rules at the same time. And the pitch clock is coming.
Yeah, but I mean, we've been hearing that, and then didn't they implement it at one point and just nobody enforced it or something to that effect? I mean,
it's supposedly actually going to be a seen and a done thing this year in Major League Baseball. So before, what they were doing is they were monitoring the guy in the batter's box to make sure that, I call it, he didn't go all Nomar Garciaparra about it.
Yeah.
He's pulling out and messing with his gloves and, doing a dance and a limbo.
Shaving and stretching and waving to his wife. And
exactly. Now there's going to, it's pretty quick too. With the person on base, I'd have to pull it up because it's been a few months.
But here's my question. I heard that the rule changed, but I didn't read into it too deeply. Does it start when the ball hits the catcher's mitt? Do they restart it over? Or when the catcher throws it back to the pitcher? Or when does the clock start over?
So it starts over when the catcher tosses the ball to the pitcher, and as long as the umpire hasn't called time, it essentially starts then.
Okay.
The new rule, and there's going to be two different rules. There's one with the man on base, and there's one with the man off of base. I'm trying to pull it up now because I want the exact. For some reason, 14 seconds is popping into my head.
That's pretty quick.
It is. And
what's that
now
going to do?
15 seconds to throw a pitch with the bases empty. Oh, that's what it is. 15 and 20. They talked about 14 and 18 or 14 and 19. I guess they revised that. It looked like it got revised on September 9th. But regardless, it's quick. And for everyone that will say we don't need it, it's stupid, then go back and watch a game when Pedro Baez takes the mound.
Or pretty much any pitcher in Tampa.
You know who I wonder it may affect the most? And you being a Red Sox and me being a Braves fan, and any Dodgers fan that's out there, what about Kenley Jansen with his old, pre-routine shimmy shake on the fly? I mean, he's going to have to tighten that up a little bit.
But here's another thing. Does the pitch have to leave the pitcher's hand in 14 seconds, or does he start his windup?
I think they're going to be pretty liberal on it. I think as long as he started his windup, it's not going to be like, in other words, it won't be like the NBA shot clock.
Right. That's kind of what I'm hoping, because the pitcher has enough to worry about and focus on besides.
You're going to get a lot of hit batters. What's going to happen?
Right. They're going to peg somebody in the noggin and cause permanent damage if they're worried about getting rid of the ball when they're not.
If you don't get it out in time, it's a ball.
It's a ball, right?
So think about this scenario. You're screwing around, and you're going to be able to see that the supposedly in most stadiums, I think all stadiums is going to be mandatory, but we'll just say, for instance, when you're standing on the mound as a pitcher, there's going to be a clock behind the catcher and off to the side. And I think I read that it's going to be over by each batter's circle, right? So another thing that's going to do, it's going to prevent some of these batters that like to lean over and cheat their way towards home plate during an at bat. They're going to have to stay out of the way because they can't be blocking that clock. And it's also going to be very obvious now, right? And there's some players that are known for it. A handful of them play for Buck Showalter in the Mets because he's kind of taught them to do that. That guy will bend any rule he can. By the way, I do want to hit some breaking news. Damar Hamlin has been released from the hospital. That is great.
Wow. Okay, that's good news.
So I may be right. He may be making an appearance Sunday afternoon onto the field, depending if he's up to it.
Wow.
I can't wait for the first question. Do you think he'll play this weekend? Because it's coming. I'm telling you.
Should I keep him on my fantasy league? What do you think?
It's not just the questions that I get here during the show. It's the questions that I get off the show that people send to my social media. There will be one person, I guarantee it. And if they do it, I'm screenshotting and sharing it. Do you think he's playing this weekend? How's that going to affect the spread?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, the fact that guys breathing and walking is a miracle.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, you do you, and I'm not going to tell someone they can't do anything, but I don't think the man should ever play
again. Yeah, I
would be really concerned if he got on a treadmill for too long, right? I'd be like,
right now, especially. I mean, it wasn't that long ago they were pumping his chest on the field. I mean, this
right.
is.
No, he's definitely not playing this year. But I don't foresee it. Now, he is a young man. And unless they find out that this is the reason why it happened and we can do this and it won't happen again. But other than that, man.
Right, yeah.
He's going to have his foundation he can run with all that money that we just sent to him. And I've said this last week. You trying to tell me the Buffalo Bills or the National Football League won't find a job for him?
Right.
Please. Anyways, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hit some more baseball talk. We're heading to the top of the hour where Tones is going to join us. We're going to be talking some more football. Couple of things we're going to talk about: Rafael Devers, Carlos Correa, what's going on with that, and who's going to take on Trevor Bauer. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country. Keep it locked in here on the Key and Braves Country HD wherever you stream.
I'm bad at sex. There's a lot of thrashing and thumping, but nothing really gets done. I'm like a broken dishwasher.
Armchair Quarterback Radio. We cover the world of baseball from start to finish.
Baerga is 0 for 3. Left center field. Grissom on the run. The team of the 90s has its world championship. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series. Brocious, fittingly with a throw, and the Yankees have done it again. Number 24. They are the world champions of baseball in 1998. Chance of a lifetime for Luis Gonzalez. 2-2, bottom of the ninth, game 7 of the World Series. Bases loaded. Floated, center field. The Diamondbacks are world champion. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. In the air to left, well hit. Back is Craig. What a team. What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs.
in 2011.
Armchair.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Take the scenic route in the new Hyundai Santa Fe, the family SUV with available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you travel way off the beaten path. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Let me see if I can cut to the chase by using myself as an example. 6 months ago, I was living in Boston. My wife had left me, which was very painful. Then she came back to me, which was excruciating.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man. Yeah, the armchair quarterback.
Welcome back. Braves Country coming your way on Armchair Quarterback Radio and WQEE. And we got a big one tonight, Georgia TCU. Team is, I know you're not as big of a college football guy as you are baseball, but what's your sense in tonight's game?
I think if Georgia shows up, it'll be a 2-score victory. I like TCU was a fun team to watch this year, but I mean it's hard to win one, much less 2 back-to-back. But I think Georgia's just a much better team, and yeah, TCU's fast and all that, but Georgia can move pretty quickly too. I just think that defense in the end, I didn't think anybody was going to beat them. I didn't think TCU was going to get past Michigan, but they outcoached and outplayed them to no end. So if that team shows up, it's going to be a lot closer than people think. But in the end, I just think Georgia's too tough.
I'll tell you what shocks me is how close the Georgia-Ohio State game was.
Yeah.
Because I thought Ohio State, after watching them getting pounded by Michigan, and look, I get it. Ohio State, year in, year out, they have one of the top recruiting years in the country every year, right? They're not one-hit wonders. So I get that they've got the talent. But I just didn't think that they were going to be physical enough. And what really surprised me, and this is I think is going to be the difference in this game. I felt like at the beginning of the game for Michigan, now they got used to it. They started pouring on the points in the second half, but it's still a shock. And for folks who don't follow this, TCU runs what they call a 3-3-5 defense. And you don't see it in the Southeastern Conference because they typically use it because in the Big 12, so many schools use what they call the air raid offense, where it's just wide open passing, that you want that extra defensive back out there. So you tend to use 3 down linemen and 3 linebackers, and sometimes one of those linebackers is a converted safety. So they're usually very light up front, but they're causing havoc and trying to get you to make mistakes in the air, which is what happened to Michigan. And and don't get me wrong, they're not just going to keep 3 guys on the line. They're going to come in, they're going to run blitz, they're going to do whatever they can to try to keep them off track. If Georgia goes in and goes up and down the field with pretty much, I'm not saying ease, but I'm saying where the offense doesn't look like it's sputtering in the first quarter, TCU is in for a long night because their best chance is for Georgia's offense to sputter because they're not used to this really weird. For years, it was always called the umbrella defense. So that's what they're essentially what they're running. If Georgia can move the ball on the ground, which I think is where they're going to try to do, they're going to try to mash them, and then they're going to try to get them where they feel like they have to cheat up, and then they're going to bust them deep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because TCU should be able to move the ball because what the TCU offense is a passing offense in Georgia's secondary. I gave the stats last week that I was surprised at that they were like number 49 in pass defense in the country, and they were around 90 in pressure. So essentially, and those usually go hand in hand. If you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, you're giving up big chunks of yards because the quarterback gets to stand around back there. But if they can find a way to get pressure on Douglas and just do it enough, they don't have to shut him down. Georgia should put 30 points on the board. You just got to make sure TCU's not putting 40.
Do you see the Georgia defense giving up 40 points, though?
I didn't see them doing it against Ohio State.
That's a fair point, but
I mean, let's be honest. If the kid hits the field goal, we're talking about a game that I don't know if anyone south of the Mason-Dixon and east of the Mississippi would be watching tonight. It'd be TCU versus Ohio State. That would be a tough sell for a lot of fans.
Right. I mean, unless you were from Texas or Ohio, nobody would care.
Right. Now what you've got is a game that's going to be watched very little up in Big Ten country. Let's be honest, because look, what were they thinking? T, they were thinking, hey, we might get Ohio State, Michigan, and they were about 6-7 points on total from getting that.
From getting that, and I would have to move with these. I mean, I'm 20 minutes from the Michigan line in Ohio. And so a lot of Michigan fans have bled in to Ohio. A lot of Ohio fans have bled into Michigan. There's going to be a dust up if that happened. But, I mean, Georgia has experience going in. They did it last year. So, they're not going to go in and be overwhelmed. When's the last time TCU was in a national championship
Won
game?
the national championship?
Or been in a game, the national championship game.
They won the national championship in 1938.
I see. Okay.
I don't think any of those current players are on the roster. Although with the new COVID rules, they can still be there.
Yeah. But that was a year after Elvis was born. So I think just they're going to be a bit overwhelmed. And Georgia has been there before.
What a lot of people don't realize is that when TCU won the national title in 1938, that following fall, Stetson Bennett enrolled at the University of Georgia. So, he just missed.
Well,
it's a joke, Georgia fans. Don't kill me. I know they've been killing him for being an old player. I'm like, dude, he didn't make these rules. The NCAA made the rules. And now that you got the NIL deals, if you're a guy like Stetson Bennett who's probably never going to get drafted that high in the NFL draft, why wouldn't you come back? You're gonna make some NIL money. Not to mention, if you get that second ring, son,
bring back Tebow. Dude,
if you get that second ring, and it was different from him than Tebow is that A, they'd be back to back, and B, he was actually the quarterback for both. Tebow was the Wildcat. So if he gets that second national championship, he's gonna be able to write his own checks. He'll never pay for another meal in the state of Georgia ever again. Like, stay. We were in college. If they let me go back now, I'd do it.
Well, I don't think my college would let me back in, but it's a nice thought.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think my college would they have since raised the bar on admission, so I probably couldn't even get in now.
Yeah. If they raised it at all, they ain't letting me back on that campus. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. My college was like the drunk girl with the low self-esteem that you meet up with, and then years later, she's got the self-esteem, and now you've got no shot at her, and you're like,
Right,
wait,
yeah.
what happened?
I was basically the fat girl at the prom. I was just happy to be there.
Yes. Exactly. I mean, no shot.
No,
right? Yeah. I mean, it'll be literally seconds after my wife leaves me that I'm going to be like, what took you so long? Like, I really don't get it.
Yeah. People keep asking me, how did you get? I'm like, man, don't pull at that thread. I don't want her thinking.
Yeah. Oh man. Little baseball talk. Get back into that. The Carlos Correa saga. This thing is never ending. So Friday afternoon. Oh, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, but he used to be the general manager for the Mets years ago, and now he's on MLB radio, and he comes on like MLB Network from time to time.
Yeah.
He was being interviewed, and he said that he thought it would be resolved by this past weekend and was very emphatic about it, that it was a done deal. And here we are. It's Monday, and I haven't even heard a chirp about it. And last week, they said that Correa and his agent, Scott the Devil Boris, were exploring other options. Usually, and look, I know Mets fans are always, they live in a delusional world where they think everybody wants to be a Met. And the simple the fact of the matter is, till Steve Cohen bought the team a few years ago, nobody wanted to be a Met. If you get to that point where they say we're exploring other options, and like, well, they're still talking, there's a stronger possibility that he leaves and goes elsewhere, not that he was ever a Met, than actually signs with you.
Well, here's my question. What are they seeing when they go in? Because he had this injury in 2014 or something. The Twins were okay with it. The Twins want him back. The Giants said no. The Mets knew that the Giants said no because of his physical, but they swooped in with a truckload of money, and then.
Well, okay, so
what do they expect? I mean, what are they looking for that they're just seeing now? Is my question.
So here's the bare bones of what happens without boring everyone to tears. When you sign a guy to these big deals, and he was, what was it? It was 10 years, 385 for the Giants, and now it's 10 years, 312 or 315 for the Mets. Whatever actually, I think the Giants was 12 or 13 for 385, and the Mets is 10 for. What happens is you're not wanting to be on the hook for all that money if something were to happen to the player. So the Mets, Giants, Braves, Reds, whoever, they go and try to get these contracts insured. And this is the bare bones behind it. And that's why the Giants were having questions, and they said, we can't get it approved by our insurance company. Mets said, we'll take it on. And then the Mets did their own physical, and come to find out they're not willing to be insured, to insure a long contract with them, because he had a metal plate put into his leg like 6 years ago. And what's everyone's jumping out at is A, he's already missed some time because of back issues. And B, in September, he slid into a base and you saw him kind of nursing that area, right? And the way they look at it is, if there is an issue with that leg, with that plate, usually one of the first things that happens, T, when your leg goes bad, you get back issues. It's not their leg they're worried about. They're worried about his back giving out on him. And that's why guys like Chris Davis, his career went downhill south quickly. It was because of his back. So that's what their concern is. They sign a guy to a $300 million deal. They get like 2 good years out of him, and then it's neck and back problems the rest of the time. He's either A, not playing, or he's playing at a very poor level. And he's not willing. He and Boris are not willing to take less, because they look at, hey, I'm fine. What are you talking about? I feel fine. But that's where it's happening. So the only way he gets his big deal is if somebody says, to heck with it. I will take the risk. You're that good. You're worth it. Let's go. Everyone kind of assumed that Steve Cohen was that guy because he's one of the richest guys in the world.
Well, so what's the alternative here? Is he going to do sign a 2-year deal and bet on himself, or is he just going to hold out?
Well, here's the thing. He just did that. He just signed.
Right. I understand he did that with Minnesota.
Right.
Is that the alternative is what I'm asking. Does he have to go back to that?
So the alternative in theory would be he could probably get someone to sign him to a 3-4 year deal, but at a higher AAV. That's not what he wants, because he wants to, when it's all said and done, he's looking at the bottom line, because he's looking at this is the most money I can make, etc.
Right, because he's only getting older. He's not Benjamin Button or anything. So
he's like all of us, man. He's day to day. So it's but yeah, it stinks. It stinks because if you're him, you're like, dude, I'm fine. What do you mean I'm hurt? I was hurt 6 years ago. I'm fine. Because he nursed that one injury getting up from a slide into second. I think it was like September 10th or something like that. Anyways, the Giants and the Mets have both bugged out about it. And now they're going back and asking the Twins if they're still interested. But if there's a team that cannot afford to go, we'll do it, it's the Minnesota Twins. Minnesota Twins don't have that kind of money to throw away 10 years. We'll just make it easy, $300 million, $30 million a year, and he goes kaput. It doesn't play another inning after like 2027.
Yeah. And, those contracts, that never happens. Panda, or anybody that Boston signed to a long-term deal.
Yeah, I mean, the first guy that I think of, and I know he had a great ending, but think about the drop-off from Albert Pujols. But his wasn't even as dramatic as some of the other guys who signed these big deals, like Chris Davis that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Chris Davis of the Orioles was one of the best power-hitting bats in all of Major League Baseball. He signs that big deal. It was like 2 years later, his freaking back was all barking at him, and he tried to fight through it for several years, but they just DFA'd him last year and said, you know what, we're just going to have to eat this.
Yeah, and they put a lot of zeros on his contract, too, when they re-signed him.
So the Red Sox, before we get sidetracked, the Red Sox, 11 years, $331 million to Rafael Devers. My question to you is, and I think it's a good deal in theory in today's economy, in today's MLB, right? It's what you kind of expect to have to sign an elite player if you want to lock them up nowadays, because they're no longer signing the 3-4 year deals.
No,
even Dansby Swanson got a 7-year deal, and let's be honest, Braves fans, we love Dansby Swanson. He's not elite. He doesn't deserve a 7-year deal. That would have never happened 10, 15 years ago. Typically, 10, 15 years ago, or maybe even a little sooner than that, your very, very top elite guy got between a 7 and 10-year deal, and the next tier, which is what Swanson is, was getting about a 5-year deal if he was lucky.
Yeah, it was a 3-year, but 2 opt-outs,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, this whole opt-out thing is driving me nuts. I'm like, what is the point of signing a guy and he has an opt-out at the end of next year? So basically, if he has a good year, he's dipping. But if he stinks, I'm coming back, baby. By the way, I do want to mention some breaking news earlier today. Luke Jackson, the ex-reliever for the Braves, he signed a 2-year deal with an option, a club option with the San Francisco Giants. So they just got a little better. I don't think he'll be back till around the All-Star break, but hence the reason why a lot of teams were hesitant to sign him.
Well, as far as Devers goes, I don't ever like 10-year contracts and everything, because you don't ever know from day to day what's going to happen. But that is the market now, and am I going to miss Xander? Absolutely. Do I think Xander was worth 11 years? Absolutely not. He would have been 4.
I think we lost.
He would have been 42 years old when that contract ended. And he doesn't want to play another position. Nobody plays shortstop in the their late 30s. Jeter maybe, but that's it. And the good news is Rafi is 24. He'll be 35 when it's over. In the last 4 or 5 years, he's just going to DH anyway. So we're going to milk all the defense out of him and then make him a DH. I can live with this contract. I don't like him, but I can live with
so what is he, 26? Is that right?
24.
Oh, Devers is 24?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then I love the deal. Someone had reported, one of those things where you just read it, move on, that 26, I thought maybe he was about to be 26, but at the worst, he's about to be 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then even at 26, I thought it was a good deal. Because most guys, Major League Baseball, as long as they stay in shape, that would be my only question for Devers. Because I'm not going to lie, every time I see Rafael Devers, he looks like he's about one M&M away from going on like an eating veg. Like he still has that.
He does have that Pablo Sandoval chunkiness leaning in that direction,
Hey, I'm going to need you to step on the scale randomly.
Yeah. Screw the drug test. Yeah. We're weighing you.
Exactly. In fact, to heck with that. You know what? Every Monday morning, we're going to meet up, and you're not going to go on a jog, and we're just going to have fun time.
Yeah, we're doing some wind sprints. Absolutely.
I'm going to Rocky Balboa you. I'm going to drive alongside in a van and go, come on, I'm going to have you clapping lightning and eating thunder. Let's go.
Yeah, you'll be chasing chickens all over Fenway Park.
Yeah, but yeah, my question is, do you I was thinking of this yesterday. Call me crazy. What if the Boston Red Sox go in and grab Carlos Correa?
It's come up. They're not going to do. They said the only way they would do it is if he would sign a stopgap for that shortstop we got coming up. I can't think of his name right now. Shoot, his name escapes me.
What do you mean a stopgap? Meaning like he only
play for a couple of seasons tops before that shortstop we got in the farm.
No. If you sign Correa, there's very good chance you're going to sign him long term. But you find a spot for him. Dude, if people have not seen Carlos Correa play defense, you find a spot for him. He is an absolute cannon.
Yeah.
And that's why him sliding over to third is not a big deal, because he is an absolute. He's arguably, outside of the kid from Pittsburgh that came up this year, O'Neal Cruz, he has the strongest arm on the left side of the infield in Major League Baseball. And it's not even close. And it's very accurate.
Well, that's the problem, that I can't tell with Bloom. I can't tell if he, we got the big contract, and are we going to take it in the teeth this season again and just start building around Rafi and then go all in?
As low as their payroll is, they could do it, is my point.
I just don't think they will. I mean, because they're saying, well, we'll bring Trevor Story over, and then, or Kiki Hernandez can come in and play short, and we'll leave Trevor over at second. We got that new Japanese player, but they said he's all bad.
Oh, he's an outfielder.
Yeah, he's an outfielder. We could put him in the outfield, bring Kike in to play shortstop. I have no idea.
If I'm the Red Sox and I sign him, he's my shortstop. And this kid that you're talking about, I'm not familiar with him. Even if he's really good, he either A, is going to learn how to play second base, or B, I'll slide Correa over to third and Devers can go play first. Because Correa has that strong of an arm. I mean, it would be insane to ask him to go play. You're going to take like the best defensive glove and arm in baseball and go, we're going to DH you. Wait, what?
And there is that Correa and Cora, they are super tight. They got really close during the Houston days. They live right down the road from each other in Puerto Rico, so they see each other the whole offseason. Every time Houston came to Boston, you'd see pictures of Correa and Cora out to dinner and stuff like that. It's a great idea, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to throw the kind of money and years he's looking for.
Well, the main reason I'm pulling for it is to stick it to the Mets.
Yeah.
I would love to see the Mets have to deal with, because really, if you take away the Correa signing, their offseason is not that impressive no matter what they try to tell you.
Oh, they try to make
lose
out
the
like
prom, you put and you sign 40-year-old Verlander. I get that he won the Cy Young, but that's a wash, right? That's a wash.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about you lost the best pitcher in baseball, and you're replacing him with an older version of what you wish he was, right? They brought back their center fielder. They didn't gain him. They brought him back in Brandon Nimmo. And I'm a big Nimmo fan. I've said it many times. He's one of my favorite players. I hate the fact that he plays for the Mets, but he's an outstanding player. But he didn't gain anything.
The Red Sox didn't either, though.
And they locked up their closer that they already had. They didn't gain anything. Correa is what sends them over the top in the offseason. All their other moves are minimal at most. If they don't get Correa, they're off, and there's nothing out there that they could replace that with this offseason. No,
Well,
the Red Sox have had a terrible offseason, but they did lock up who they needed to lock up, and you go from there. But
which is great, and we're all happy. But in baseball, you don't win without pitchers. In the AL East, you finish last without pitching. And our starting pitching is, the polite way to say it would be, suspect at this point.
yeah, well, we got a couple guys on our squad who are suspects in every time the police blotter comes on.
Right, yeah.
Leave that at that. We got to run. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
The walk-off for today is, thanks for having me back. I'm so excited. And what are we, 40 days from pitchers and catchers? And
I saw this morning we're 80 days from opening day.
Whew.
And we've already booked our trip. We are so excited to go see Fenway Park Braves at the Red Sox. I cannot wait.
Greatest place on earth, man. You're gonna love it.
Well, let's not go crazy, man. Truist Park, my guy. All right, brother. See you next Monday. Great job.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back in a flash. When we come back, Tones is going to join us. We're going to hit up some football, college football national championship, baby. Let's go. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon. And this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. We've waited all year, and tonight's the night. The college football national championship game. Number 3 TCU versus number 1 Georgia Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are the defending national champions, 14-0 on the season. They are a 13-point favorite. The over-under sits at 63. TCU trying to pull off one of the biggest upsets in the modern era. Houston Texans announced last night that they have fired Lovie Smith after just 1 year as their head coach. Also today, announced by the Arizona Cardinals, head coach Cliff Kingsbury is gone. General manager Steve Keim is also stepping down. The NFL playoffs were announced late last night, and if you missed it, here is the schedule. Wild Card Weekend will get going Saturday, 4:30 Eastern. Seattle is at San Francisco. That game can be seen on Fox. Saturday night, Chargers at the Jaguars on NBC, 8:15 is the kickoff. They'll be rocking in Duval in Jacksonville, Florida. On Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern, the Miami Dolphins travel to the Buffalo Bills. One of 3 matchups this weekend that will be a third time go-around. Bills and Dolphins split the season series. New York travels back to Minnesota at 4:30 Eastern on Sunday. Vikings beat the Giants earlier this season in Minnesota with a field goal at the gun. And Cincinnati will host Baltimore 8:15 Eastern on NBC. The Sunday night tilt, the rubber match. We still await word if Lamar Jackson will try to play. And the Monday night football game, Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Should be a fun one. It all gets going at 8:15 Eastern. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
But, I want to say one thing in all seriousness. I feel sorry for you people that don't drink. I mean it, because when you wake up in the morning, that's as good as you're going to feel all day.
Armchair.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
You're talking.
Shan Young, a performance that truly matters to every one of us, is coming to the Columbus River Center for the Performing Arts, January 17th, one night only. Shan Young brings 5,000 years of civilization live on stage through choreographed dance, music combining Western and Chinese instruments in an animated backdrop. Come and see it at least once in your lifetime. Tickets at shanyoung.com/GA.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
I don't believe what I'm saying. Where you been all your lives? At an orgy? Listening to Mick Jagger music and bad-mouthing your country, I'll bet. Use your peripheral vision. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, every time I say understand, I want the whole group to say, yes, sir. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, I know why most of you are here. We're not stupid. Before you get to sell what we teach you over at United Airlines, you get to give the Navy 6 years of your life, Sweet Pea. Lots of things can happen in 6 years. Another war can come up in 6 years.
Welcome back. Georgia Bulldogs getting ready to take on the TCU Horned Frogs in the national championship game tonight. I noticed earlier on ESPN or SEC Network, whatever it was I had on, Tim Tebow was on there. Of course, he's a Gator, and he made sure he wore himself an all-purple suit, very TCU-ish. And next to him was Dan Mullen, and he was wearing purple. So it's kind of funny. A couple of guys gets hired over by the SEC Network, and I'm looking at the cast, and it was him, it was Tebow, it was Mullen, and then off to the far left was another ex-quarterback for the Florida Gators, Jesse Palmer. So I don't know what's going on ESPN, but it feels very Gatory. And I am pulling for the Dogs to win tonight. I would just like to. I think Kirby Smart deserves a lot more than what he gets from the national media in general, as far as what he's done. And I'm not going to say he turned around the program, because Mark Richt had a pretty good program. But he took him to the next level. And if he goes out and wins a national championship tonight, back-to-back, he's put a stamp on something. And not many have done that. And, but look, Sonny Dykes and those TCU Horned Frogs, it's not going to be an easy road to hoe, because TCU is going to push Georgia to the limits, but I really think it comes down to the old-fashioned. It's really just blocking and tackling, and I think Georgia's got the better athletes, and if they block and they tackle, they're going to win the game. Joining us is Mr. Tampa Tones. Tones, how are you this morning as you're or this afternoon, excuse me, as you're getting ready for your Buccaneers to take on the Dallas Cowboys next Monday night?
I'm doing great, brother. We got a big game tonight, a big weekend of football ahead. It's that time of year for football fans to buckle down and saddle up, because one way or another, you got playoff football or you got draft battle plans laying right in front of you. So I'm excited, man. It's going to be fun next Monday night, Bucs Cowboys. I preferred another time slot or two, but at least it gives us another day to heal up right now, which is always key.
Really? You don't like the Monday night slot?
I don't hate it. The only thing is with work, I feel like I would have preferred a Saturday because I don't work on a Sunday, or if I did a Sunday, I could have taken Monday off. And being selfish, I don't mind Monday, though, because it does give us a day to get healthy. And at the same token, we are on the national stage by ourselves. So there's pros and cons. I guess I don't hate it. But then on the flip side, if you do win Monday, although me and you broadcast the Rams last year, they won on a Monday. They had a short week. You don't get as long of a week to recover at the same token. So it has its pros and cons, I feel.
Well, all I know is that the team that wins Monday Night Football in the wild card round goes on to win the Super Bowl. That's what history has taught us.
We know that firsthand after
Super Bowl is on the line next Monday night. That's all I know.
And we also know the losing team of the Monday night game fires their head coach as well after. So
exactly. For folks that missed that, Cliff Kingsbury is no more. He got he not only was he fired, but he also the general manager Steve Keim is stepping down. They said stepping away. He got told you either quit or you either take the severance package or you're getting fired. Other news and notes real quick to hit Quay Walker, the ex-Georgia linebacker. He did come out and apologize after shoving the Detroit Lions medical staff in last night's game. If you missed that, it was kind of a weird scenario. I think it's the second time Quay Walker has been kicked out of a game. Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, 73 years old, former Titans defensive coordinator, he has retired. And he said, this time I'm done for good. Rich McKay will remain with the Falcons. He will be the CEO, and Greg Beatles has been named team president. I think that's a pretty cool story, Tones. He's been with the organization for 28 years. He started as an intern, and now he'll be team president. Bill Belichick is being expected to return for his 24th year next year. And so what we have now for open head coaching jobs in the National Football League, because the Browns also fired their coach or defensive coordinator, and they're actually talking to Brian Flores. How about that? Colts, Carolina, Denver, Texans, and Arizona are all looking for the new head coach, and that's just the beginning. They always call this Black Monday. A lot of guys usually get fired. It's not as many as you normally see, but the day's still young. The week is still young. Ex-Braves general manager John Capella, who got the lifetime ban 5 years ago for his dealings with signing players I want to say overseas, but that's the wrong term. basically he got busted for what they called illegal dealings in the way that you sign the international players. Okay. He got a lifetime ban. He was quietly that ban was lifted over the weekend. And Chicago White Sox closing pitcher Liam Hendricks announced on Sunday that he is going to start treatment for cancer. He has non-Hodgkin lymphoma. So there's the news and notes.
And I don't know, it's not huge news, obviously, but Twitter keeps changing. Now, if you go to any NFL team, it has like a little NFL icon next to their name as well, next to the yellow check mark. Or like if you go to anything on ESPN on Twitter, it has a little E for ESPN next to like the yellow check mark as well. Disney's doing it. So Twitter just keeps evolving. I can't keep up with that anymore. Now you got check marks and logos.
They probably gave them the option to have a logo, and the ones that are already established logos are probably going to do that. The ones that aren't established that want you to know that they are legit are probably going to keep the yellow would be my guess.
Correct. Like, for example, if you go to Titans or Jaguars or Falcons Twitter right now, next to the yellow check mark is now an NFL logo additionally. No other sport has it yet besides the NFL.
Oh, yeah. Right, but it's coming. It's coming.
Correct.
It's just another way for them to try to jack up the monthly price to be a part of the club.
Next thing you know, $49.99 to log on to Twitter once a month.
Yeah, no, that I'll be done. I'm not paying for Twitter. I don't pay for social media. I will never do that. It just makes no sense.
Agreed.
I get it why some will do it because they've got it. They can write it off, etc. But the clowns that have gone out there and paid, I think it's moved up to $11 a month now. It was $8 at the beginning. That are paying for that and not getting a write-off. They're just doing it because they want you to think that they're legit. They're all getting trolled all over the internet for. So what's the point? Basically, all you did was getting yourself made fun of.
I feel like all those people didn't realize how simple it would be to tell between the types of variants of check mark. You could literally click into it, and it'll tell you how they got their blue check mark, by money or by legitimacy.
Okay, so Georgia, TCU. I got the lineup here on the screen. We're gonna make our predictions here in a little bit, but right now the line is looking at 13 points. Horned Frogs are getting 13. That line keeps going back and forth between 12.5 and 13 all day long. And the over-under is now 64. 64. And the team overs right now, 25.5 for the Horned Frogs, 38.5 for Georgia. And we're going to do some props here in a little bit, but we do want to talk a little NFL playoffs. Just such a busy day. And for folks that are just joining us, Mondays, that the first hour, we're going to be talking a lot of baseball. Teamus Wooten has joined the team once again. He's been able to free up his schedule, and we're going to talk a lot of baseball in the first hour and a lot of football in the second hour because Teamus is a baseball guy, Tones is a football guy, and to me, it makes more sense to stay in people's wheelhouses than go, "Hey, Tones, did you break down to watch that pickleball tournament this week? What do you think about that?"
Yeah, hey, I'm a multi-aid, but I love talking football. I can't wait.
I know you are, and when we get to baseball season, we'll obviously be talking Cubs.
I can't wait to meet Wooten. I don't think I was able to meet him yet, so I know
he's been on sporadically, but he hasn't been on a lot of our football shows because football he just loves, right? And he watches, and that's it. Baseball, he actually follows his Red Sox and actually knows what's going on. So.
Right, like the dude from Fever Pitch.
Yeah, it would literally be like you do not want me on an NHL breakdown show. Because all I'm going to say is, "Hey man, I like the Predators. Did they win today?" That's all I got for it. And when the game comes on, I'm going to watch it. But that's it. I never played the sport. I feel like a phony to get up there and say, "Well, they got to make sure they're getting through there and getting the power play." I mean, I would just be Googling that off the internet.
Same here, brother.
Sorry, when you grow up south of the Mason-Dixon line and you go out and try to play hockey, what that turns into is just pool volleyball, because I've never seen my water actually freeze over out here. So,
And Chicago turned the faucet off on their the Blackhawks were blacked out on TV here for decades.
And by the way, I'm not apologizing for that either. You can have your ice. I'm good. I just like a hurricane every once in a while, but other than that, we good down here, man. Let's go.
Please take some of this weather.
I am excited for this national title game. I do think Georgia's going to win, but I think it's going to be closer to what the experts think. I think Georgia's just going to be able to. I think they'll get that big stop on defense. I think they'll be able to move the ball on the ground, but they got to play a clean game. They've just got to play a clean game.
I think so as well. I do think, though, for once, usually I have, a team where I think they're definitively going to win the championship. I think TCU holds a strong chance here. I think Georgia does ultimately win, but I think TCU covers. And with Max Duggan, it's just hard to rule him out completely. Usually you have a Bama or a Clemson where it's like, oh, they're going to blow the doors off. This one, it's like Georgia should. But at the same token, TCU has played so well, it's just hard to write them off.
You see this nonsense with Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, came out the other day, and he said that he believes that they need to dial back the early window for the early signing day because it's. And I don't think he said killing. I think it's crushing our coaches.
What?
The SEC is the one that pushed for this. He was the one that pushed for it. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't.
Right. What's he thinking on that?
Well, he thinks that it needs to be pushed back to where it originally was in February. Gives you more time to recruit, et cetera, et cetera. No. Because too many of these kids now like to enroll early because a lot of these kids are actually on the stick. You don't have all the idiots that are coming into college football anymore. A lot of these kids are on the stick, and they are graduating early, and they are getting enrolled on campus in January so they can get a crest from their surroundings because they want to play well in their freshman year. That's the whole reason why they did what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we got to take a really quick break. When we come back, AFC and NFC playoff slate. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. And we're gonna rank the games this weekend. We're gonna rank the games. So get ready for that.
Let's go.
We'll be back in a flash. Keep it locked in here on The Key and the Georgia TCU National Championship predictions right around the corner.
Been all over the world. Beat them all. And it's hard to believe, isn't it? Really hard to believe that so much man could be wrapped in such a good-looking package.
Hey, sports fans. The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Hey y'all, I'm Mac McGee, and you don't want to miss as we cover the entire NFL on Armchair Quarterback Radio.
12-0 Chicago Bears. If they could go all the way, they would be 19-0. The last undefeated team in pro football history, these Miami Dolphins. 72, 14-0 regular season. After the Super Bowl, they were 17-0 for a third down and 6. Cooper, Moore, and Clayton. Out of the way. Into the arms of Clayton. Oh, and are things going right for the Dolphins tonight? 42-yard touchdown, batted into the air at the line of scrimmage. This is vintage Monday Night Football. Final seconds ticking off. Bears will not go undefeated. But what a victory for the Dolphins. And Dan Marino reigns supreme once again.
Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m., drive time on WQEE.
The entire first half, we got hit in the mouth and acted like somebody took our lunch money, and all we wanted to do was have pouty expressions on our face until somebody daubed our little tears off and made us feel better. And then, then we'd go out there and try harder once our mommies told us we were okay.
Broken pretzels in the rug. The beer cans could be worse. She'll clean it up tomorrow.
Welcome back.
Dread September 1st when once again, the season's finally here and the players hit the field and every man feels like a boy and every wife could kill. He's been
We are
since August, running hot, running cold, and 30 friends are on alert.
just under 4 hours away from kickoff. So I got an interesting text from one of our armchair quarterback radio contributors. He is at the game for tonight, and he goes out and he's at a lot of national championship games. It's a long story, but he's got a buddy that he works for, and they do some stuff before the games, and then they're able to get in to the games. He sent me pictures of the stadium, really cool. But here's the thing, because I had brought up to him, I said, what is the deal with no tailgating at the national championship game? Right?
Right.
What is going on there? So here it says, he said, first of all, it's cold and wet at the stadium today. So it's been raining all day. That's number one. But that has nothing to do with why they said no tailgating off the jump. They built the stadium right next to the Forum. And I am seeing some stuff on ESPN and whatnot that they have set up for a fan experience type of thing. Well, what that is, that's one of the things is roped off, and I guarantee you had to pay to get into, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guarantee you that's number one. The number one reason why they're doing it is to get your money, so you can't sit out there in the parking lot like we do down south and just crack open some cold beers and put a tent up wherever you can squeeze one at and let's go. But he said the stadium is built right next to the Forum, so the parking lot is very small, probably why no tailgating. Most parking is about 6 miles away and you get shuttled in.
Wow, that sounds miserable.
It does. I'm thinking, man, I feel like I would just Uber from the hotel.
Yeah, at that point, there's really no need to park if you're going to have to Uber or, shuttle 6 miles one way anyways. And it's a brand new stadium. You don't think they'd come up with a better game plan for parking than what they have?
Hopefully some of these hotels have thought this thing out and went out and gotten a shuttle to go back and forth to the stadium. Right? I mean, to me, it would make a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah. You could, whether you're accommodating guests or charging a little fee, you're going to make them happy or make yourself money one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, that's what's going on in the national championship game. There's no tailgating, but they've got a little area where they're going to try to get your money. And I guarantee that's got a lot to do with it. They've probably got so many different sponsors out there that are expecting you to go there. And I bet you someone brought up eventually, like, man, in the SEC, they tailgate. Well, what are we going to do about that? Well, we'll just ban it. We just won't let them do it. They have told people that they can't hang out at their car, but they just can't. You can't set up like tents and whatnot. That's where the thing is. But, you run into some of these things in the Southern Bowls, but there's usually an area of grass that you can. What was sent to me is that essentially there's nothing like that.
Real quick, this is kind of funny. I'm reading from an Arizona source. It says Kyler Murray will have input on the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Jeez.
Talk about wiping that guy's butt for him.
Kyler Murray is the reason why they hired Cliff Kingsbury. How'd that work out?
Yeah, remember? Because they were all buddy to begin with. They used to be a pair together or whatnot.
I do not know why in the world anyone would think it's smart to have a 20-something-year-old athlete decide the fate of your franchise.
Who's probably out to at least midway through the year next year as well, by the way.
Not just that, but he hasn't been very good.
No, and neither is his attitude.
They have him locked in. Look, I can see if they say, hey, during this process, we want you to meet the coach because we want to make sure that y'all have a good chemistry, right? I get that part. But if he's actually sticking his nose in and saying, oh, I like this guy and I don't like that guy, don't hire this guy, this isn't the NBA. Don't NBA up the NFL.
Correct. Yeah, that's what it feels like. That's
And the
a
NBA
good
is a lot different because, to be honest, there's a handful of players that are actually getting that kind of power in the NBA. And the ones that do are so elite in the NBA. It's really a 3-person sport. The other two guys nowadays just stand around. So you've got to make sure that the main guy's happy, right?
Right.
But in the NFL, I mean, Brian Daboll just got the number 6 seed with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and you look look at what look at how big of a coach matters too. Jacksonville, they knew that he struck out with Urban Meyer. They hired Doug Peterson on their own willing, and look at how much he's helped to Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence didn't ask for Doug Peterson. It's not like they gave him the keys to the kingdom. Sometimes as an ownership group, as a lead of the franchise, you got to do what's right for the franchise and what you think. And if they're able to help the quarterback, that's great. If not, then maybe he wasn't meant to be there.
See, the city of Chicago proposed a $2.2 billion renovation to Soldier Field.
Yeah, and I've seen they're trying to add a roof, a dome, and all that good stuff. But it might be too little too late with the Arlington Heights thing already. And to be honest, Chicago they don't have room anywhere. That's why they need the renovation. But the parking situation's messy there. They got themselves into a mess with the Bears. They played with fire, and now they might get burnt.
All right, let's get into NFL playoffs real quick before we start to run out of time, because I do want to touch. We'll do this all week as far as worrying about the lines and whatnot. But I do want to rank the games. So we got 6 games this weekend. And of course, that's up from what we used to have. We used to have 4 on wild card weekend. So now what we have is, real quick, Seattle and San Francisco is the 4:30 game on Saturday. By the way, we will be coming to you live on Braves Country HD. Not 100% sure if we're going to be on the key. We'll get that information out to you by the end of the week, but I do know we'll be going on a couple other areas, and we'll get you out on that. But Braves Country HD, wherever you stream, we're going to be doing pregame kickoff shows the next 2 Saturdays, 3 to 4:30, and AFC Championship game and Super Bowl Sunday will be coming to you 1 to 3 p.m. and you can catch that on our YouTube channel.
I am excited for all these pregame shows. They're going to be a hoot. You guys don't want to miss them.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff, some fun games to play during these things, some betting talk and all kinds of stuff. But this weekend, so 4:30 is the kickoff of the NFL playoffs at Seahawks-Niners. Jags-Chargers is the Saturday night game. Bills-Dolphins, 1 o'clock Sunday. All times are Eastern. Giants-Vikings, 4:30 on Sunday. 8:15 Sunday night, Ravens-Bengals. And Monday night, Cowboys-Buccaneers. Now, I think we can go without a doubt. And I'm not just saying this because you're a Bucs fan. And I'm not just saying this because it's sitting by its lonesome. But I'm going to rank Cowboys-Buccaneers as the number 1 game of the weekend. I think it's by far the most intrigue. It is Tom Brady versus the Dallas Cowboys. If those aren't 2 of the biggest brands in football, nothing is, right?
I agree with you.
It's going to be, can Dak Prescott bounce back from what was a terrible performance by the entire team, but specifically him? And can the Cowboys win a road game because this game, even though they're 12-5 and the Buccaneers are 8-9, this game's in Tampa. That's a different debate for a different day.
And it'll be interesting to keep a eye on, if Dallas is a one and done, the future and fate of Mike McCarthy, even though he's back-to-back division champs. I tend to agree with you. I'd put this one as number one myself as well. You look around at the other games, either injuries or just, one thing here or there, like Ravens and Bengals, they just played last week as well. So there's multitude of factors, but I agree. I would put this one as number one. I think it's the best matchup and the most 50-50 matchup, toss-up, coin flip, whatever you want to call it, in all of the first round.
Well, it's one of only 3 games on the slate that the line is a field goal or less, right?
Yeah.
I'm also just looking at the fact of the fan bases. The Dallas Cowboys by far are the most popular team in America, and Tom Brady has a legion of fans from his days in New England. Just in general, everybody knows who Tom Brady is. I think the worst game, and you can buck back on me on this one, but I think the worst matchup, this is assuming Tua Tagovailoa can play for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I think the worst matchup is Saturday afternoon, Seahawks 49ers.
I couldn't agree more. I was going to say that myself as well. Main reason for me is, Purdy and Geno. I know Geno's had a great year. Purdy's had one of those nice years, but none of them really moved the needle yet. A win here could change that for either of these guys. This is the third time we've seen this game already. And to me, Seattle was the least flash of the pan and exciting team out of Green Bay, Detroit, and themselves. I think they were least deserving to make the playoffs. So for all those reasons combined, I think that I agree with you. To me, it's 6 out of 6 for games for the weekend, but I'll be rooting for Seattle for Tampa's sake.
So with that being said, Seattle, we just saw this game a few weeks ago. In fact, you and I did this game on YouTube. It didn't look particularly close then. I know they scored a garbage touchdown to make it look closer. They got smoked at the beginning of the year, 27-7 in San Francisco, where this game is going to be. And I think Purdy's playing just as good as Jimmy G played. So yeah, this one, it's the dud, but I'm still a little surprised that it's the 4:30 game, because for the simple fact of, I guess the more that I think about it, I could see it. Because last year you mentioned it, we did the Arizona Rams game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that game was a kind of a dud, but the reason why we did it was because it was on ESPN and a lot of people weren't going to be able to watch it. This year they're putting on ABC. So there's not quite the motivation for us to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's where they would put it. But evidently they are taking turns in which network gets first pick. Because if you look at the 2 games on NBC stink. The first game that NBC does, I'm talking about from a fan base, not if the game's going to be competitive. Chargers, Jaguars, that's not going to have a big needle, right?
No.
And then Sunday night, Bengals, Ravens, if Lamar Jackson doesn't play, that one's going to be a snore.
Especially because they just played last week. And as far as the other game concerns, when you got 2 teams in LA moving there in less than a year's span, it's going to be hard to generate a fan base there.
I agree. But anyways, ranking it. So number 1 has got to be the Bucks, Cowboys. Number 6 has got to be Seahawks, 49ers. Number 5, in my opinion, is Dolphins, Bills, unless Tua can play. Tua can play, that becomes a very fun game. And as long as we don't get terrible weather, I'll be all in on that. But as of right now, Skylar Thompson going into Buffalo is not going to be fun.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and stick with your assumption that Skylar Thompson's playing right now, and I'll put that one as number 5 as well. We've seen it for the third time. It would be a third-string quarterback with this fourth-string left tackle. Miami's a cool story this year, but with all their injuries, it might be hard for them to overcome.
All right, so we'll put that at number 5. Number 4, man, this is a tough one. I guess it's Bengals-Ravens unless we see Lamar Jackson playing.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson playing, it becomes a great matchup.
Yeah, I'd put either this one or Giants-Vikings at number 4 for me. Like you said, it depends if Lamar's playing. If Lamar's not playing, I put this one there. If Lamar's playing, I'd put Vikings-Giants there.
Well, the reason why I'm putting Giants-Vikings above that is because I don't think Lamar's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, Giants-Vikings just played each other not too long ago. I want to say it was like week 13, week 14, something like that. No, heck, it was week 16. And the Vikings were at home. It's the same circumstance. They had to hit a 60-yard field goal at the gun to win that game.
Very true.
That's why I think there's some interest. I think there's a real chance that the Giants can pull off the upset.
I wouldn't doubt it myself.
All right, so for argument's sake, though, I'll lean with you, and I'll put that as the number 3 game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means the number 2 game has got to be, and I think this is appropriate, even though I just bagged the fan bases, the talent on the field is real. Chargers at Jaguars will be a lot of fun.
Lawrence and Herbert is a great matchup.
We don't know if Mike Williams is going to play. They stupidly played him Sunday, and he's got a back injury, and this guy's made of glass, and I'm just really surprised he played. But they'll be dealing with that all week.
Their strategy made no sense by head coach Brandon Staley, and that's perhaps why he could get fired if they're one and done. You pull out Herbert about midway through the second half, but then you leave in injury-prone wide receivers like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. It's like, are you trying to win the game or are you trying to rest guys? To me, that made no real sense there.
I agree. Well, let's take a quick break. Tones, reset for a second. When we come back, we're going to be talking the college football national championship game. We're going to get into the overs, the unders, the spreads, the props. Let's go. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country on WQEE and Braves Country HD, wherever you may stream.
Stupid interviews. Hey, you're a member of the Buffalo Bills. How does it feel?
Well, it's a blessing. I want to thank God. I'm going to try to do my best. It's a great organization. And I'll say the last 80 guys said. So, yeah.
Hockey season, and that means new merch over at OurDragonsMerch.com. Get the latest designs and some of our fun new souvenirs ahead of what's sure to be a great hockey season. Celebrate another season of River Dragons hockey by getting a new look to wear on game days, or surprise the big-time sports fan in your life with a new keepsake that will make them a River Dragons fan for life. Order online right now at OurDragonsMerch.com. That's the letter R, DragonsMerch.com. We'll see you at the rink.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is hand-picked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to DixieHandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball. Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m., drive time on WQEE.
Bob Greasy was the Dolphins' leader on the field. He quarterbacked an offense that broke a 36-year-old record to become the greatest running team in NFL history. Behind an offensive line that was simply awesome, Miami became the first to have 2,000-yard runners on the same squad. The inside...
Welcome back. Tones, you got big plans to watch the championship game tonight? That's too funny. I think Tones went to go hit the head. I'm over here talking to him.
I got plans to watch it tonight all by my lonesome, brother, just by myself right here. Sorry about that. I went to fidget the internet thing a little bit, and now I'm here.
I don't want to know what you're fidgeting with all by your lonesome. Okay, let's go.
Boy.
All right, college football national championship. I'm going to go ahead and get the lines put up here so everyone can see them with us. Let me see here. All right, so here's some interesting props. I thought we'd just play around with this, and then we'll get to our picks at the end here as we go to the top of the hour. Remember, First Name Sports on Sports Map Radio is on your way. And tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., every weekday morning, it's Ryan O Radio Penitentiary. Noon to 2, Rod Peterson Show. 2 to 3, it's Sports Beat and Braves Country every weekday here, 3 to 5. So, and we'll do much more NFL playoff talk as the week goes on. We've got some interesting player props. So the first person to score a touchdown in the game, so much of this comes down to who wins the coin toss, right?
Mm-hmm. It sure does.
I really wish they would do the coin toss a week in advance. You know what I mean? Let everyone kind of plan it. But anyways, I'm looking at the Georgia side because I feel like Georgia's off defense will make a stop early. I don't know. I don't have as much faith in the TCU defense.
Correct. I agree with that.
So what we're looking for is value. Now, one of the most tempting ones is Stetson Bennett at plus 1,100 to score the first touchdown. But of course, he has to physically score the touchdown. He can't just throw it. But I'm thinking of, either a bootleg or a scramble, or they get a long pass and gets called down at the 1-inch line and he just pushes it in. But one of the other ones that I think would be interesting, because I'm not all about getting the guy that should get it. I want to get the guy that you're like, I want a little better payback. Brock Bowers to me at plus 600 is a very tempting one. What say you?
Yeah, I think Brock Bowers would be tempting as well. That's probably the one I'd lean with right now out of comfortability. Max Duggan, though, you can never count that one out. That'd be a fun one.
If you go TCU side, I think I've got to go Duggan because he's got so many ways that he could find his way into the end zone.
Correct. But all in all,
Quentin Johnson's plus 1,100 too.
I think Bowers is probably the best, or the bet I'd go with. If I had to choose one, I think I'd go Brock Bowers.
Anytime touchdown. Now these are a little easier to hit. Duggan, by the way, is plus 105. I like that one a lot because a lot of your anytime touchdowns, you get really bad odds on it. For instance, Kenny McIntosh at Georgia's minus 190. So you have to bet $19 to win 10.
Yeah, the college anytime touchdown score odds are always a little damp, in my opinion.
But I get that the line keeps going up a little bit, and then you see it go down, go up. I do think this thing is going to hit the over. Not by a ton, but I think it's going to hit the over. Remember both games last weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Both of the totals went over 80 points. And it's sitting at 64. The only way I would take the under is I would tease, or maybe I feel so good about Georgia, I take the under in TCU's total offense, total points, but I don't want anything to do with the over. I teased this game and I took the over.
Yeah, I would take the over too if I teased it as well. One prop bet I do like as well, anytime touchdown score. If you're feeling a little frisky, his odds are times 840 or 850, I believe. Jordan Hudson, TCU wide receiver, had 2 catches against Michigan last week, has 3 touchdowns on the year, had 2 as soon as November 26th against Iowa State. He's targeted a good amount. It's just if he could bring him home and if he could bring it home in the end zone, but not terrible odds for anytime touchdown score for my man, Jordan Hudson. And then if you want to feel risky and do first time touchdown, you could get a pretty penny.
I think one of the ones I found that I like, so a first quarter touchdown doesn't have to be the first person to score, but he scores in the first quarter, meaning you give up a touchdown and you go back. What about Max Duggan sitting there at 750?
I like that one a lot. I could see him finding his way into the end zone.
McIntosh plus 400. So I kind of hedge, because my problem is, what if they don't get the ball first, right?
Correct.
Or nerves are out there. You get the ball first. You have a quick 3 and out. You give TCU a short field, and they score the first touchdown.
Correct. I like first quarter touchdown score a lot. I never thought about that one.
Stetson Bennett to have 1 touchdown pass in each half, 1 or more touchdown. Man, I like that one a lot. It's minus 120.
I thought it'd be more than minus 120. That one reeks of about minus 175. I'm here for that one.
I think what that tells you is that, I really like this. Stetson Bennett, 250 yards and 2 touchdowns or more, 2 passing touchdowns or more, minus 110.
I love
that one.
I like the Max Duggan one if you're feeling a little risky too, to have 1+ pass and touchdown in each half times 165. Bet a little 10 guy, win 1650 on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a little surprised it's that low. What this tells me is that the gambling odds are wagering on the fact that Georgia's going to run the ball and not throw it very much.
Correct. I think that looks like that as well.
But I don't think I believe that.
Me neither. I think that Georgia's going to have passing success if they want to keen in on this one like they have all season.
All right, let's go on past that one. Max Duggan, by the way, Stetson Bennett and Duggan to each have a passing touch. In each half, plus 350. That still seems very gettable.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of these seem very user-friendly in a way.
I do not think that the TCU is going to cross the goal line via the run many times.
No.
Right? Wow.
Deuce Vaughn would disappear into the goal line defense.
Get a plus 350. I like that a lot.
Same.
So in layman's terms, y'all, if you throw $100 down, you would win 350 if that happens.
Correct.
Now this is where you're going all in and saying that that they're going to pound them. Stetson Bennett, 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns or more.
Yeah, that's if you think Georgia's going to win by double digits.
Well, there's a good chance they win by double digits, but this is, what you're saying there is either A, there's some busted coverages, or B, Georgia's going to come out slinging it.
Right.
Either Duggan or Stetson Bennett to score the first touchdown, 650.
That's interesting.
Now that's really hedging your bet because it doesn't matter which team gets the ball.
Yeah, I kind of like some of these combo ones.
Max Dugan. If you really like Dugan, you think he's a good quarterback, and you think that the Georgia secondary is suspect, Max Dugan, this is crazy, to have 2 touchdown passes or more in each half plus 1,800.
Not a bad one to put $10 on.
I think that's my favorite TCU bet of the night.
Same here. I mean, a 10 guy could win you 180.
But it could.
Yeah, I agree. Probably won't, but it could. It's very more realistic than some of these.
I mean, I would take that on a plus 1,800 scale than to go down here and go, well, Max Dugan total completions 20 and a half or more.
Correct.
I mean, yeah, you know, yeah, you're going to get, it's probably going to happen, but man, the payout, if you don't want to put a lot of money in, if you just want to say, hey, let's go, you just want to throw a few bucks at it, that's one of my favorite ones right there. Plus 1,800.
I like that one.
So that means if you put $10 down, y'all, you can win $180.
I might have to look into that.
I'll put the because every site's different, but this is the Bet US site. I'll put the code up on the screen to be able to get your bonus play for anyone that wants to do that tonight. Okay. And then of course, if you don't do it all tonight, you just sign up and NFL playoffs are right around the corner.
Correct.
Here we go here. Let's see some of the others. Now, if you want to go negative Nancy here, Stetson Bennett to throw an interception, minus 120. To not throw an interception is minus 110.
Pretty even odds there.
Yeah, that's really a flip of the coin. I don't like betting on quarterbacks throwing an interception unless it's like Nathan Peterman or something. I'm like, I'm just not in on that, because you don't have to just assume that the quarterback's going to make a bad decision. You also have to assume that a guy who wasn't good enough to play wide receiver is going to catch the ball. Okay, let me see. Stetson Bennett, 14 and a half yards rushing. I really like that one, because he is deceptively quick. You got any other ones that you like, Tones, before we go to the main spreads? I think Tones froze up on us, so here we go. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into the main spread. He'll join us back here in a second. Let me go ahead and get this shared out here for the main spreads for tonight. And go ahead and here he comes. All right, Tones. I think we got you. I hope you're moving. Hey, he's got life. Don't forget to pay your Wi-Fi bill, kids. All right, so we're coming up on it. TCU is a 13-point favorite. The over-under is 64. The over for TCU is 25.5 points. The over-under for the Bulldogs is 38.5 points. So first of all, tell me what you're going to go with the spread, because I think we're in agreement. I do like TCU in the points.
I love TCU in the points here. 13 points in a championship game with the resiliency TCU is showing this year. I'm all over the Horned Frogs with that 13 points. Too hard to pass up.
See, even if Georgia wins the game pretty convincingly, I don't think TCU is the type of team that will quit. So you can get a backdoor cover.
Correct.
What about the over-under? I know it's high, but I do like the over.
I like the over if I had to choose based on last week's game and based on both these offenses as well. I like both team individual overs, and if you like both team individual overs, that usually is pointing to a good sign. I love TCU's over more than Georgia's, though, I will say. To me, that 25.5, I like that a lot.
The over for the Horned Frogs, 25.5. You're saying that you like the Horned Frogs on that one?
I like that. I think the Horned Frogs get at least 26.
I'll tell you what, if I was going to take an under, I'd be more likely to take Georgia minus 38.5, because if they are going to pound the ball like everything is showing, they may not have enough clock to get to 38.5, but they might win the game 35-27, and you get banged on the or I could even see them winning the game 35-30.
Mm-hmm. I could see that as well. And that's the thing. That's why I like the over, because I think points could come in bunches and they could come at any time. Although Georgia has the ability to shut down an offense, I don't think they shut down TCU's offense. I think it's a little too good for that. I think that 25.5 is very reasonable. It's only 3 touchdowns, a field goal, and any other type of score.
To me, my favorite play of the day is to tease TCU in the over. So that gives you 19 points, and to tease the over at 58. At that point, we're talking about TCU just got to hang in there. They lose by 17, but if you get a score somewhere in the neighborhood of 35-20, you still cover both.
Mm-hmm. I like that tease a lot.
What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
Enjoy this championship game. This is one of the last ones with only 4 squads. I believe we're moving up to 8 in a couple years, if not next year. What is it, 2025? But nonetheless, this is going to be rare times. Sports history could be made at any given time. Heisman finalist runner-up Max Duggan takes on SEC powerhouse Georgia. This is one of the last Monday night football games of the year as well. So everybody enjoy your football Monday, crack a cold one, and tune in to the national.
You gotta go Dogs. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 to 5. Great job, Tones. We'll see you manana.
See you, brother.
Goodbye, sweetheart, well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart, goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile